Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled End Times 201, The Revelation of the Seven Seasons, Part 2. The podcast objectives are analyze the purpose of the sealing of the set apart ones, analyze the spiritual indicator of those who are being set apart, analyze the messengers sent to kill, and restate the vast importance of the seal of Elohim. This lesson contains timelines and other visuals. Therefore, if you are listening to the podcast, I advise you to watch the video version on our website or YouTube, or request a PDF of the lesson so you can add the visual effect. The sign the messengers are looking for. Now, in the most recent podcast, we established the purpose of the restoration of the nation of Israel, i.e., season 1. That is, to initiate these last days. Here is why. Israel is at the center of the end times universe. Therefore, it would be impossible for these last days to begin if Israel, A, has not been restored, and B, understands their role in each of the 7 seasons. Not only is it scriptural, my dear friends, it is factual. We have already witnessed the restoration of the nation of Israel. It is the only season in these last days that has already ended. Now, we will discuss the particulars surrounding the timing of the restoration of the nation in future podcasts. For now, you should appreciate how this season has ended, and per the timeline below, we have progressed to season 2, the sealing of the set apart ones. Accordingly, the Father is now focused on sealing those who were restored in the most recent season, and thus we declare the seal of Elohim is at hand. Here's a question. In continuing our pursuit of purpose, we must now ask, what is the purpose of season 2? What is the purpose of the sealing of the set apart ones? The answer: the purpose of the sealing of the set apart ones is to protect the renewed nation of Israel during the Great Confiscation. By definition, the Great Confiscation is the sum of all the activities that will span seasons 3 through 5 in these last days. By the end of it, close to 80% of the world's population will be destroyed. Moreover, the vast majority of the earth will be devastated, and many lands will never recover. Per the timeline below, the Great Confiscation will follow the sealing of the set apart ones. It will begin with the sifting of the nations and conclude with the day of Yahuwah. This time of unprecedented death is aligned with the parable of the darnel of the field, specifically the interval when the son of Adam sends out his messengers for one central purpose, that is, to remove all the stumbling blocks and those doing lawlessness. Matthew 13:40-42 reads, "As the darnel then is gathered and burned in the fire, so it shall be at the end of this age. The son of Adam shall send out his messengers, and they shall gather out of his reign all the stumbling blocks, and shall throw them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. It speaks to the vast importance of the seal of Elohim and how it is our only protection in these last days. To wit, the seal is a spiritual indicator that we have been set apart by Elohim. It is the sign the messengers will be looking for when they come to take the lives of billions of men and women across the earth. Messengers sent to kill. John confirms the details of the parable of the darnel of the field in the book of Revelation, providing explicit details concerning the great confiscation and the role the messengers play in this violent procedure. Trust me, these aren't the same angels depicted by common scripture art. You know, the ones who appear peaceful and harmless. No, sir. These are not messengers of peace. These are angels of death. Here again, we will analyze the scriptures confirming these matters in future podcasts. For now, you must appreciate how this is not some new development. Messengers being sent to kill out those who are doing lawlessness has occurred multiple times in the history of our world. Have you heard the story of Sodom and Gomorrah? Perhaps you ventured into 2 Kings and read how one messenger killed 185,000 in the Assyrian army. Then again, maybe your mind went to the book of Ezekiel and you noticed how eerily similar this instance is to what we are about to see in these last days. Ezekiel 9, 1 through 11 is revealing. And he called out in my hearing with a loud voice, saying, let the punishers of the city draw near, each with his weapon of destruction in his hand. And look, 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with his battle axe in his hand. And one man in their midst was clothed with linen and had a writer's inkhorn at his side. And the esteem of Elohim went up, and he called to the man clothed with linen, who had the writer's inkhorn at his side. And Yahuwah said to him, pass on into the midst of the city, and you shall put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. And to the others, he said in my hearing, pass on into the city after him and strike. Do not let your eye pardon nor spare. Kill to destruction old, young men, maidens, and children and women, but do not come near anyone upon whom is the mark, and begin at my set apart place. So they began with the elders who were in front of the house. And he said to them, defile the house and fill the courts with the slain. Go out. And they went out and struck in the city. And as they were striking them, it came to be that I alone was left. And he said to me, my eye shall not pardon, nor would I spare. I shall recompense their deeds on their own head. And see, the man clothed with linen, who had the inkhorn at his side, reported back and said, I have done as you commanded me. The only indicator. Now, as it was in the days of this prophecy So shall it be in these last days. The messengers will receive the command to begin removing all the stumbling blocks and those doing lawlessness from the earth in the upcoming season. And nothing, my friends, will stop them from fulfilling this command. For unlike man, the messengers in this present age are champions of righteousness, and they always do the will of the Father. Not only are they dedicated to him in such honorable fashion, they possess a source of power that man cannot attain unto. And thus, their ability to fulfill the will of the Father is equal to their eternal desire. In effect, there is nothing you can do to survive the oncoming onslaught apart from the seal of Elohim. You're not going to barter with these messengers. You're not going to make some deal with them to spare your life. Trust me, your life means nothing to these messengers outside of the Father's will. And here lies the inflection and your key to surviving the violent work of the messengers in these last days. Consider this. All who are in agreement with the Father's will, confirmed by the reality that they are doing the Father's will, shall obtain the seal of Elohim. Matthew 7:21 is revealing. Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the reign of the heavens, but he who is doing the will of my Father in the heavens. The question of the hour is, what is the Father's will with specific regards to these last days? The answer, it is to prepare the earth for the reign of Yahushua Messiah in the millennial kingdom. This is precisely why the first season in these last days is the restoration of the nation. To wit, the Father must prepare the people who have been chosen to participate in this kingdom, for there are certain requirements which must needs be fulfilled. After which, he must seal these chosen ones to ensure they are not raised by the angel of death. For the seal of Elohim is the only indicator they have been given to distinguish between those who are to be destroyed and those who are to be preserved. The seal of Elohim is all they have to go on. This is why I have constantly revealed the vast importance of the seal and why those who do not possess it best be on their way to obtaining it. Remember, this season is almost over. The sealing of the set apart ones is soon to end. After which, the world will endure 3 consecutive seasons of turmoil, violence, and death that will wipe out 3/4 of its population. Alas, 6 billion men, women, and children will die during the great confiscation for one simple reason. They did not obtain the seal of Elohim while they had the chance. They failed to realize how this season marks the end of the day of salvation, and this season is coming to an end. Therefore, if you do not have the seal of Elohim, or if you are unsure, my advice to you is simple. Do not wait another day to find out. For if you have any doubt on this wise, the odds are you don't have it, and you will soon die without. Now, here is the final word. The second step in surviving these last days is obtaining the seal of Elohim. On this wise, we are restored in spirit and in truth, such that we may be sealed, such that we are guarded during the most violent days in the history of our world. Therefore, you cannot obtain the seal if you have not been restored. And you will notice this sequential pattern with each of the ensuing seasons. To wit, if you do not fulfill the requirements on the current season, you will not be qualified to survive the next. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, End Times 201, The Revelation of the Seven Seasons, Part 2. And the next podcast is entitled End Times 202, The Revelation of the Seven Seasons, Part 3. I will post this podcast on Monday, July 17th, 2023. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim. Continue to watch, continue to pray, continue in fasting, and most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is near.